Take a breath. You don't need to be perfect here. This is not a lesson. This is a space. A space for adults who understand English, but don't feel comfortable speaking it yet. If you think too much, if you're afraid of mistakes, if English stays in your head, you are in the right place. Welcome to English in 30s. So, let's slow down today. No lesson, no rules. Just a real conversation about learning English. You know, when people talk about learning English, they usually repeat the same advice. Speak more. Practice speaking. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. And maybe that advice sounds good. But for many adults, it creates pressure. Because when you try to speak and the words don't come, you start to think something is wrong. You stop. You think. You translate in your head. And then the moment is gone. It feels like your brain is fighting itself. And after a while, you start to feel empty. Like your English is empty. Like you don't have enough words inside. But this usually doesn't mean you are bad at English. It usually means you don't have enough input yet. Language is not created, it is absorbed. We don't invent language, we collect it. And this is where listening becomes very important. Listening is not passive, it's not wasting time. Listening is how the brain learns the rhythm of English, the melody of English, the natural structure of sentences. When you listen every day, even if you don't understand everything, your brain is working quietly, deeply. You might not feel progress because listening is silent work. There is no proof, no result you can show. But inside, your brain is connecting patterns. And reading works the same way. Many adults say, I can't read in English, it's too hard. Usually, the problem is not reading. The problem is how we read. We try to understand 100%. We stop for every word. We check everything. And reading becomes stress. But reading is not an exam. It's exposure. You read to see sentences again and again. You read to meet words naturally. You read to get used to how English feels. It's normal to lose meaning sometimes. It's normal to feel confused. But many adults feel guilty when that happens. They think they are failing, and guilt slowly kills curiosity. Children don't feel this guilt. They listen for years before they speak clearly. Nobody rushes them. Nobody tells them they are behind. They are allowed to be silent. And silence is not failure. Silence means processing. Silence means listening. Silence means learning timing. Sometimes in conversations, you understand everything, but you don't speak. And that silence feels uncomfortable. But that silence has value. It means your brain is still learning how and when to respond. Speaking comes later, naturally, not forced, not pushed. One day, a sentence comes out without permission, and you surprise yourself. That moment doesn't come from pressure. It comes from listening, from reading, from patience. So if you are listening more than speaking, you are not behind. You are building something solid, quietly. Learning should feel calm, not heavy, not stressful. So today I thought we could talk about practice. Not perfect practice, not intense practice, just real practice. I like that. Because when people say practice, I already feel tired. Why tired? Because practice sounds like work, like homework, like something I'll fail at. That's very common. Many adults imagine practice as effort and correction, but practice doesn't have to feel heavy. I hope so. Because when I try to practice speaking, I freeze. What do you usually do to practice speaking? I tell myself I should speak more. I wait for a situation. And when it comes, I panic. So the problem is not motivation, it's the situation. Yes, speaking feels public, like I'm being judged. That's why many people fail at speaking practice. They practice speaking only in stressful moments. So what's another way? A quieter way. Quiet speaking? Yes. Speaking doesn't start with conversation. It starts alone. Alone? Repeating short sentences. Out loud. With no listener. That sounds safer. Exactly. You don't need courage when no one is watching. But does that really help? A lot. Because you're training your mouth, not your confidence. I never thought of it like that. Confidence comes later. Movement comes first. So speaking practice doesn't mean long conversations. No, it can be one sentence, one phrase, one reaction. Like what? For example, after listening to something, you repeat one line. Slowly, imperfectly, not the whole dialogue. No, just one piece. That feels manageable. That's the goal. And what about reading? Reading is even harder for me. How do you usually read? I read seriously. I stop. I translate. I analyze. So reading becomes work. Yes. And I avoid it. Then reading needs the same change as speaking. Less pressure, less pressure, more exposure. What does that look like? Short texts, easy texts, things you enjoy. Not books with difficult vocabulary? Not at first. Reading practice is not about level. It's about rhythm. Rhythm again. Always rhythm. You read to see English move, not to catch every word. So skipping words is okay? It's necessary. That removes a lot of stress. Good. Because stress blocks practice. So real practice is small, calm, and regular. Yes, speaking a little, reading a little, listening a lot. Not forcing progress. Letting progress come. That feels very different from what I'm used to. Most adult learners were taught to push, but language grows better when it feels safe. So if I practice like this, you'll notice something. What? That sounds nice. I feel less pressure already. It is. That's how practice should feel. So today, I'll practice a little. That's enough.